guys, so a lot of you guys coming to Japan for the first time are probably thinking, what's culture shock going to be like? What are some new and exciting things I'll get to see about Japan when I get here? Like, you'll probably notice so many things that it's going to be hard to even remember all the things that surprised you when you first got here. Because when I first got here, I was blown away by a lot of the stuff that I saw. A lot of stuff that was just really different from back home in America, things that were slightly similar but still different enough to take notice, and then things that I didn't notice for a long time were different until like a certain situation arose, or until I started making money, or until I started working and that sort of thing. So I want to do like maybe one part of like a several part series where I talk about the things in Japan that kind of shocked me when I first got here, or things that I still think are kind of shocking living here now. So I'll get into it. I'm going to touch on just a couple now. First one being, in America, there's this big credit card culture and debit card culture where you can go anywhere that you want to go, and most of the time you can pay with your credit card unless the place specifically asks for cash, which is pretty far and few in between, like a place that maybe doesn't have like a credit card swipe machine. For the most part, you're paying in credit cards with your cards or with your debit cards, and if you pay with cash, people kind of look at you like, hey man, why are you holding up the line paying with pennies and dollars and this sort of thing. You know, people have to break out, you know, extra rolls of change or this sort of thing because they just don't have the cash on hand. And when I worked in America too, someone paid in cash, it was so much more of a hassle if they just swiped their card. But in Japan, everything, with few exceptions, can be handled in cash. Everything from buying airplane tickets you can buy with cash. If you go to the right websites, you can pay for them at places like the convenience store. Like go to 7-Eleven, you can pay for plane tickets. Go to 7-Eleven, you can pay for concert tickets. If you go to 7-Eleven, you can buy bus tickets, and everything else too. Bills, day-to-day expenses, trips out that you want to do with your friends, train tickets, anything that you have on your mind, more than likely you can buy with cash. They do have credit cards here in Japan that you can try to apply for, but I've heard that it's very difficult to get if you're not a native-born Japanese person. If you're a foreigner who's only going to be here for a little bit, they're kind of hard to get your hands on. But, you know, if you really need a credit card, you can still get one. But most people don't get them, and they're not in the way virtually at all. They don't really stop you from doing anything. And the one thing you do see people carrying around are their train cards. You can swipe at your train station, so you can just kind of walk right into the train, you hold it down, it's like a pass, so you can get in onto the trains. And they have money on it, so you swipe your card and it goes from 20 bucks and charges you $5 for the route that you take. And in some places around train stations can take that, where you go into a convenience store, you swipe with your card, and it takes the $5 out. So that's about as far as they go with cards usually. Credit cards are still not really a thing. And so this next thing I noticed immediately when I got here, because as soon as I got here, I went to a convenience store, right? A lot of convenience store talk today. Went to a convenience store and I bought like a drink I'd never seen before, a milk tea, I bought some Japanese candies, and I drank it and kind of ate it on the bus. And when I got out, I was expecting to find trash cans kind of around the school that I got dropped off. This is when I first arrived in Japan as a student. I expected to find trash cans at the school when I arrived. I expected to find trash cans like at the corner of roads or streets, or outside of restaurants or convenience stores or that sort of thing. Places to throw my trash away. And in Japan, that just doesn't really exist. A lot of the expectation is you're going to take your own trash home. You're going to take it home and you're going to throw it away there and deal with the packaging and all that stuff when you get there. Some places, like at convenience stores, or if you're at like a big festival, or if you're downtown in a city and there's this big event going on, you can find trash cans because they know people are going to accumulate all the trash there. But day to day, you're kind of expected to carry your trash until you get home, stuff it in your backpack, in your pocket, in your bag, whatever, and deal with it until you get there. So I thought that was super weird and super surprising, and I found myself just carrying around like a bunch of trash all the time when I first got here, because I didn't know what to do with it. Next, something like, so people think of Japan as a place where people are generally like really skinny, and a lot of that has to do with like portion sizing, and like general like, you know, expectations in the culture to be a certain size and that sort of thing. But so that being said, and that sort of like kind of cultural, you know, rule being there, I was extremely surprised when I heard that they have, you know, and not only do they have, but it's actually incredibly popular, all-you-can-eat restaurants here in Japan where you get all-you-can-eat yakiniku, which is like Korean barbecue, or all-you-can-eat shabu-shabu, which is hot pot, and you can go to these restaurants and for like 2 hours or sometimes longer, or for 1 hour, whatever set you buy, whatever course you buy, you can eat as much food as you can order and put down your mouth. And certain restaurants have certain rules on it, like how much you can eat. Like you have to finish like a plate before you can order the next one, or if you can't finish your plate, they're going to charge you more for the meat you couldn't eat, that sort of thing. But generally, like you go in, you pay like 2,000 yen, about 20 bucks, and you get as much food as you can put in your mouth. And sometimes you can get as much beer as you want too. you can couple it with what they call nomi hodai, right? Eating as much as you want to eat is called tabe hodai. As much as you want to drink is called nomi hodai. And you can pair it together in some restaurants. And some bars just have nomi hodai where you pay a certain amount of money. You can drink as much as you want. And coming from America, that seems like kind of a crazy idea to have like a restaurant open that serves as much alcohol as you can drink. And then, you know, you're totally fine to leave whenever you want, and there's no expectation about getting in cars or things being dangerous or anything like that. There's just this expectation of it's going to take care of themselves, your friends will help you, you'll be semi-responsible, you'll get home safe, and then they can, you know, make their money back somehow with the drinks and this sort of thing. So never something I saw in America, but it's super popular here in Japan. It's something that like foreigners and Japanese people like go and bond at and do things at and, you know, interact at, and it's super fun, and it's just this one thing that you think didn't really exist here. Next thing too is like generally Japanese people, you don't think Japanese people are gonna break the rules too much. Like there's definitely this sense that like the rules are the rules and you abide within these certain limits that society sets for you, and to a certain extent that's super awesome, and it helps facilitate like a lot of very like positive work in Japan. And there's very little violence and very little crime, at least like reported crime and violence and that sort of thing. But it becomes like so extensive, right? And so like in a lot of ways that's perfect, in a lot of ways that's really excellent. But some things that are silly that you might think are like, for example, there's this one in particular that I thought was really weird. It was when I got to Japan, I was coming back from one of these like nomi hodai things. I was walking back from the train station, going back to my school to go to my dorm and get some sleep. It was like 4 in the morning or something like that. And I remember I was walking and I came up to an intersection of the road and there's no cars on the road. It's just me and some friends that I'm with. And we're looking across the street and there's other people here too, other Japanese people who are sitting here standing at the cross light or the crosswalk, right? And the light's red so we're not supposed to go. But in America, people will look back and forth and they'll say, okay, there's no cars coming. It's late at night, nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna see it, so they just cross the road anyway. But there's a lot of instances where people here just won't cross the road, and it won't cross their mind either. They'll sit there and they'll wait for the time to go down, right? Because the lights don't change based on like, you know, how many cars are lined up or the traffic. It's just purely based on how long the light lasts for. So the light's 3 minutes long, you have to wait 3 minutes. And people just sit there and happily wait. Even if you're only crossing 1 lane of traffic or 2 lanes of traffic, they'll sit there and they'll just wait for the time to tick out. And so you find yourself kind of conforming to these rules as you live here, and you appreciate them for what they are because it's generally very safe that people do these things. But in situations like that, you think, why can't I break the rules? What's so bad about it? But you don't see people doing it. So it can change, it can differ. People will break those rules still, people still will, but generally you see people conforming, even to that extent. And lastly, I think for this video, I want to touch on this really funny one. Rock, paper, scissors, like as it's known in America at least, like rock, paper, scissors, shoot, right? This sort of thing. In Japan, it's called janken, and you see people like solving problems through janken or disagreements through janken all the time. So, for instance, at my schools, you'll see kids who are coming in, they're complaining about something, someone pushed someone on the playground. You know, I saw this thing first, I want this thing first, hey, I volunteered for that, like, don't call on him, this sort of thing. Or like some sort of dispute at the table during class, or some sort of dispute. And I think it even extends to adults too, because you see it like on TV and you see it like in the news and you see these sort of things, people kind of solving their issues through janken. So 2 kids will be upset and they'll be complaining and the teacher will go janken, right, and make like a fist, like go ahead, do your janken thing, and they'll do saishogu janken poi, and they'll do the thing, and the winner is unequivocally the winner of that situation. So if they were saying like, I want this thing, I want this rock, I want this toy, I want this last, you know, milk carton, like the way they solve it's not going to be, you got the milk carton last time, you got the milk carton this time, you know, or hey, you know, buddy, you're lactose intolerant, you know, you shouldn't have this, whatever. No, they're going to solve it through rock, paper, scissors, and that's totally okay. And once that's decided, once rock, paper, scissors is decided, like that's it, that's the end. The rules are established, they're set, they're good to go, and people are happy with the result. And so that's something I was super surprised with, because I know in America, if I tried to solve a problem with rock, paper, scissors, not only would the losers still feel like they were, you know, cheated out of the win somehow, But I don't think the problem would really be resolved through just rock, paper, scissors. So that's something that I thought was interesting. So anyway, that's today's video, guys. I'm just gonna do that real quick. I'll probably make a part 2 and then a part 3 to this too, because there's a lot of things about Japan that I thought were really surprising when I got here. But guys, if you liked the video, please like the video. If you like these kind of videos where I talk to the camera, that sort of thing, like hit the subscribe button down below for more content. If you have a question, or if you live in Japan and were surprised by anything, or you're worried about culture shock, if you have any questions like that, let me know in the comment section down below. Maybe I'll make a video about how to deal with culture shock once you arrive here, and maybe extend that to other countries too. But guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll make a new video really soon. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.